So the key to understanding conductometric titrations is working out how the different ions conduct. And so the theory is that the hydrogen hydroxide ions conduct the best. So this is the experimental values. They're really quite high. And so the theory is this Grotthus mechanism that the charge is transferred through the water molecules, and they just basically just pop off and transmit very, very quickly this way. And obviously the hydrogen ions are much smaller and can do it much easier. It's a little bit like a diode, how there's holes and there's jumping through, the electrons jump through holes, or there's doping, positive doping in diodes, if you're aware of that. And that's pretty much, that's sort of what they're doing here as well, although it's not electrons, it's just the charge really, and the charge is causing the H plus. So there's really just some sort of positive charge transfer through the molecules. And so that's the theory right there. Now, obviously that's not going to happen if it's one of these smaller ions, because it's a different molecule. So there's not, the sodium's not going to turn into a metal because it's highly reactive, and it's just going to stay that way. And so because this is a very small positive charge, it has this massive shell. So this is sort of like the complex ions that we were talking about before. And so it's really just this complex ion, and it drags this entire thing with it. And so even though it's a small positive charge, it really is just a monster. It's like a little tiny boat, and you're dragging a huge whale underneath with you, and you're not really going that quick. Now the chlorine ion doesn't seem to be doing it as much, but it's very, very similar. And so in between is the sulfate ion. Now this is quite large, yet it doesn't have much of a charge to it. It's only got 2 negatives on the entire molecule, and it's famously unreactive. And so that works in its favor as to not have a large hydration shell, is what we're calling it, proper term for it. And so it's kind of critical that you understand what the relative conductivity of the ions are and the theory behind it. And so hopefully that makes sense. I think that's a pretty good sort of thing for you to cover to do your SEs, actually, for your galvanic and electrolytic cells. So it's quite important that you sort of use that as well, to talk about how the charges are carrying through the electrolyte. So going on from there, you may not be able to afford a conductivity meter. So I don't know, I hope your electricity is good. V equals IR. Seems to be a lot of physics being thrown into this. So you can just measure the current and the voltage, and you can get resistance by getting that equation. Or you can just say that, the current, it doesn't really matter. It really should be conductivity, but you can use current. So in chemistry, we don't care because it's the same relationship. We're not going to do a physics conversion of it. And so what you're finding is this is quite complex. There's a whole heap of different ions in there. The chloride ions are staying constant. We're adding sodium hydroxide to this. So the sodium ions are slightly increasing. So these are the relative amounts. And so what you're basically getting is, when it is at the equivalence point, a lot of these highly conductive charges are neutralized, and there's none of them left. And so that'll be the low point of conductivity, where there's not an excess of H+. And after that, when you keep on adding sodium hydroxide, there's an excess of hydroxide ions. And so this one's quite good because this one is slightly steeper than this one, which makes sense because this one is dropping rapidly, and that's the better conductor than this one. And so it's never it's never zero conductivity because of sodium and chloride ions. And so at the low point is where there is the most H2O and no leftover OH minuses or H pluses, and so that's the end point. Now it gets a lot more complicated when you use weak acids and weak bases. At the very start, remember this is very good at conducting, and if you add sodium hydroxide to it, initially that is going to be wiped out and replaced with sodium. And so you've got this little tiny drop because the hydrogen ions, which were better at conducting, are replaced by sodium ions, which are not as good as conducting. But after that, you just keep on adding NaOH to this system. So that then equilibrium gets replaced. And you keep on adding sodium hydroxide, and that just keeps on wiping all this out. And so you're basically getting an increase in the ionization of this, and you're getting more ions created. Admittedly, they're just sodiums increasing along here effectively as this. And when this is completely gone, then the sodiums stop. The sodiums still go, but there's more OHs there. There's an excess of OH now, and so it jumps up even quicker. And so it's very, very complex. You must draw out the chemical equations and picture in your head what is going on where. And so the equivalence point is this one, not this one. So that looks like a very good. I would expect this to be on the exam, all right? Because the other one's just a bit too obvious. Or at the very least, explain it for the first one. But this would be very difficult. I think a lot of people would get this one wrong. And so just to add to the complexity, because they love to do that, concentrations, just giving you a general look at what it would look like, lower concentrations, the dips, etc. There could be some difficult questions on that if you don't really get your head around analysing that graph properly. And why they dip and where. You need to think about that in your head, about what the various concentrations of ions are and how well they conduct and why. And then strong acid, weak base. What do we got? So we've got a strong acid that's going down very quickly and then replaced by an excess of weak base ions. So the upward gradient is less than the downward gradient. Because H plus we're losing H plus, which was a very good conductor, and replacing it with this, which is not as good a conductor, and the low point is the equivalence point. And lastly, experimentally, as we said before, it's not black and white. There's all these excess ions around as well. It's not just the stuff that's getting neutralized, and so they curve, and so you need to extrapolate these lines in order to get the crossover point, and then draw a line down. Okay, so that's a good question too. So plenty of good questions in here and plenty of good new understandings. So very weird, to be honest with you, conductometric titrations. I was wondering why the heck no one does this, but I think it's fantastic for your chemistry understanding. So I'm a big want to know who did this one. This is a good idea.